What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Niner Sickness with blooper. I can delete this on the good thing about pre-recording. I can delete this. Anyway, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Niner Sickness with the N.W.A. podcast here with my co-host, Mr. Boston Hater himself. How you doing, Boston Hater?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. It's Friday. Can't complain. It's Friday. A long week of work. The kind of work that I do, it's hard to kind of trying to get through to it, but I manage.
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, somebody has to do it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Might as well be me, bro. Oh, man, those extra hours. That OT's killing me.
Yeah.
Those long nights.
Rub it in, bro.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna have a great show tonight for you guys. Something a little bit different. Normally, you guys are watching us live. This is a pre-recorded video that we're going to be posting up on the N.W.A. podcast YouTube channel. Trying something a little bit different. So we're almost getting ready for training camp in a few days there, Boston Hater. Yep. Hold on. Mr. wants to show up at the last minute here.
Oh, you got Eric?
Yeah.
Okay.
What up?
What's up, Eric?
Hey, how's it going, Eric?
Hold on, Eric.
What up?
Wow, you're tall.
I got my camera angled down, so
Okay.
I think I'm the one that did that, but
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the show. Welcome to the pre-recorded show here on the N.W.A. podcast where we talk 49er football. Training camp, I was just mentioning to a Boston Hater, and he was giving us in depth detail of his response on training camp right before you ringed in.
Yeah, my great interest in practice.
Hey, you gotta practice though, right?
No, I don't. The team does. I don't need to practice.
Well, I don't know about you, Boston Hater, but let me ask you, E-Man, what do you think about practice? You excited about practice or the training camp, I should say?
honestly, the biggest obstacle for us is going to be making it through training camp without losing players. That is going to be the biggest obstacle.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, see, nobody gets hurt on the way in, driving in.
I mean, yeah, the 2 caliber players we lost wasn't like our starters or anything, but they were those depth pieces that would have been fitted in nicely if we needed them to down the line. So definitely don't want that to happen to the backups of the backups or even the starters.
Yeah. But truth in all, this is football. You're not getting through it without injuries. You just don't want to be decimated by injury. But there's going to be injuries. Don't, fool yourself into believing that, those will be the last injuries. Oh, count on it. There will be more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be nicks, cuts, and stuff like that, but we don't need the overall breaks like we had last year.
Yeah, there's going to be some nasty ones. I mean, it happens every year.
It's not about the quantity of injuries. It's who's getting hurt, more or less. Like
last year, it was about quantity.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like going.
We were losing everybody.
Okay, let me rephrase that because that's a bad example. But going in like off the bat, we lost Nick Bosa. Then like this year, we don't want to go in and lose one of our key pieces right off the bat or anything like that. Like losing that impactful of a player can be, even if we had no more injuries the rest of the year, that the impact is there. I mean, look at Chandler Jones when he got hurt in Arizona. Like totally different defensive front. Like there's no pressure. We didn't have any, even without those injuries in the secondary and all that. Our pressure dropped off with Nick Bosa gone.
Yeah, well, when you take a guy that had 60 pressures in the regular season the year before and basically shut him down completely, where you need about 8 players to get 60 pressures. Yeah, that goes downhill fast.
But we had a hider.
Yeah, that's not much pressure.
Hey, I heard some good news though from Fred Warner. He said that D Ford looks healthier than ever. He's back, and he looks his normal self. So he doesn't expect him to miss nothing this year. This is from Fred Warner
Okay.
on D Ford. So
And
that's good
all
news.
that sounds wonderful, and I'm good with that. But you know what? Until I see
Of course,
him
but
on the field making plays,
I'm pretty sure players don't normally just say it to say it. They have to be cautious of what they say.
look good when they're not hitting you, when they're not blocking you. You know, I can't really put a lot on that, but I'm
Downey
glad
Donner, stop it.
I am glad. I'm glad he's healthy, but
Yes.
I just don't know if can he hold up to the. Football's a nasty game.
Yeah. Especially when you're dealing with back or neck injuries. Those are nothing to take lightly. So, but it is a positive note. I mean, again, you're right. We have to wait and see how it plans out, how he plays after a first hit, how he bounces off of it. So, but it is something to look forward to, whether it happens or not. I mean, it could have been a worse news. It could have said, "Oh no, he's gotten worse." So, it's a positive note to hold on to. But at the end of the day, we have to watch it, game 1 against the Detroit Lions, see if it comes together.
I think he's going to be on a snap count still. Honestly,
I would think.
D Ford.
Same thing with Bosa.
Bring that kind of pressure that he was bringing a couple of years back in 2018, where he led the NFL, the defensive ends in pressure back in 2018. So, yeah, I'd love to see that.
I'd love to have the first 12 games.
Red, but yeah.
What?
He was wearing the wrong. So go ahead.
What? I said I'd love to have the first 12 games of that season.
First 12 games?
Yeah, you
as far as the pressures go, and how in the sacks and everything, like how dominant our front was.
What are you talking about?
What we're talking about?
Oh wait, you're talking about 2018, not 2019. My bad.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
He's talking like
yeah, green light. My bad. Okay.
You guys were two different contents.
No. I knew. Yeah, I knew what he was saying, but I was like, where did that come from?
I was thinking of the wrong year. My bad. Yeah, we don't want that.
But we don't want anything from that year.
No, definitely not. So we found out. Everybody probably by now knows that Fred Warner signed his extension right before training camp. So congratulations to him and signing that and locking him up for the next 5 years. And I love what Parag did with that contract.
Call it 6.
Oh yeah, 6 going. Yeah,
you already had him this year.
Yeah, 6 years.
Here's the thing about that contract. Very interesting. First of all, it says 5 years, $95 million. Basically, 40 and a half is guaranteed. You're going to be done with that in the first 3 years of that deal. After that, I'm probably looking at a new deal. They're probably going to rip that sucker up and start over because there's no guaranteed money in it. So there's a good possibility that he could end up with a new deal basing, what it does is gives us the flexibility. You never know 4 years from now where a player is going to be. He might be the best linebacker in the NFL. He might have, come up on tough times and, really struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you never know. I mean, but what it does is this contract gives flexibility to them either, and it could go either way. If he's doing really well, he could benefit because he could end up really taking off and end up getting more money in those years, or it could go bad and we might have to cut our losses and maybe pay him less, or who knows, but it gives you flexibility. And the contract is really, when you look at it, team friendly. I'll never understand why players do it, but in a lot of ways it's hard to say that not 5 years 95 million is team friendly, but the way they structured it, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going forward. I think that he'll be base salary this year, and then it kicks in next year, right?
Actually, he's got they changed his base salary for this year. They
Yeah,
They
that was
dropped it,
weird.
didn't they?
yeah, they dropped it, but he's got signing bonus that is mandatory. When you sign a contract and you have a signing bonus, prorates 5 years evenly.
Okay.
So basically, they took his salary down to like $920,000 or something like that, and then he's got the $2.44 million of signing bonus that they have to pay for 5 years consecutively. And that's from the time it's actually signed. But the contract itself, outside of the signing bonus, does not kick in until 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, they prorate signing bonus.
So basically, if we were looking to try to extinguish some of the cap, it would be going into next season. Like if we had salary issues going into next season, then it would make more sense to let loose, let some of that salary go as far as the other players go.
Huh?
I don't know if I don't think we're on the
I'm
same
not
page.
following what you're saying.
Me neither.
Okay. Going into next season, you said 2022 his salary his
Said
increase.
nothing. Yeah, it does increase. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So granted, if we string Jimmy along and we kept everybody we had or whatever, then it's kind of hard to say where we'd be at as far as salary goes. But
Yeah. But
does this really put us under any kind of bind or anything like that into next year? Is what I'm asking.
no. And Jimmy, that might. Yeah, I don't think that Jimmy is really a subject of conversation for 2022. Um, we're starting to line up something that's very interesting. That's not necessarily a good thing. Who's got the highest paid left tackle in football?
We do.
We do.
Highest paid tight end.
We do.
Highest paid middle linebacker.
We do. God, I feel
Highest
smart.
paid fullback. Highest paid fullback.
Go ahead and answer. I don't want to be the smart one here. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see something that's not, and
Yeah, I see
probably going to have the highest paid defensive end come before next season.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we're starting to. There's something about that kind of feels very Los Angeles Rams. I'm not really liking the look of that because they got all these just top tier players, and then you start looking around there. You got a couple of youngsters that are coming along now, but a lot of their team is a lot of garbage fluff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
the
a
Rams,
big
yeah.
drop off. Big drop off from top to bottom. Like
I don't want us to be in that position. And the more you start to get these top end guys, and I know you have to kind of target guys to be like the core of your team.
Yeah,
And
certain positions.
I like
yeah.
choices they've made so far. I don't know that I'm as high on the fullback being so paid, but outside of that, the guys that they've chosen, I'm good with. So hopefully this won't become a continuum where the next thing we've got some cornerback that's making 17, 18, 19 million dollars and a wide receiver that's making 20 million dollars. I mean, once you start to add on to that, you got to start pushing guys out the door, and it starts to thin out positions that we're in a position where we have a lot of depth at a lot of positions. And that becomes a problem when you start having these high level salaries. So I have a feeling that this will work for us for about 3 years. And then we're going to have to hit the reset
Yeah,
and decide who's going to be the core. Because the core, every 3 years, you got to look to, reevaluate who should be the core of your team. You can't just sit up and have the same guys be the core for 10, 12, 15 years. Some of those players might continue to be part of it, but your core changes.
Yeah. It depends too on other positions if they step up. Like, for example, Emery Thomas, let's say 3 years from now, for some gut reason, he becomes a really good corner. Well, he's going to have to take somebody's place.
And I
Same
really
thing with
hope
the receiver.
So.
Brandon
Now,
Ayuk steps up.
Mind you, one of the things that I do concern myself with is that I'm noticing that this organization, the way that they're currently structured, does not really value the corner position like I would like them to. So I wouldn't be surprised that if he was going to be, for instance, like a top 5 corner in this league, that they would find a way to move off of him and draft a young guy. I wouldn't be surprised.
I hope not, but
it just don't seem like we really draft a lot of corners, though. I mean, and if we do, then they're towards the back of drafts, and I mean, we don't spend a lot of our early picks on secondary.
Well, let's put it this way: Thomas and Akello Weatherspoon, since was it and Chris Culliver, since the Jim Harbaugh days, those are the highest drafted ones, with the exception, I guess Tart was also 3rd round. Jimmy Ward.
Jimmy Ward is.
Yeah, but we spend a lot of time in that 3rd round, and I mean, outside of Ward, that's where we've been. We have not really put a lot of draft capital into that position.
It's funny, you have John Lynch that comes from a secondary position, safety, how he covets the defensive lineman more. I don't know, maybe that his playing time was sap, that he figures that if you put pressure on the quarterback, you kind of get away with it in the secondary. I don't know what his mentality, but you can tell he focuses. See that? I don't know if you noticed, but
You just flickered.
Yeah. Anyway, he values that pass rush, and so it's funny coming with the position that he comes from, that he will put more emphasis on that pass rush than he does in the secondary.
Yeah, and you know how I feel about that. My thing is, when you look at consistency over, a period of time, and it's hard to keep. 3 to 5 years is all I'm looking at. You can't really stretch it out any longer than that. But when you have a defense that tends to really excel for that stretch of time, 3 to 5 years, it's usually in today's market because of the secondary. You notice that they have high level secondary players where they could have average to slightly above average linemen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the ones that have the linemen as their primary, I noticed that they're kind of got this roller coaster thing that goes on. It's like they can really have a period of games that they really stand out, and then they can like get lit up. It's like you get that pressure, but if they can't cover on the backside,
well, I mean, going into, you talked about that 3 to 5 year period. I mean, the only way that it could be extended out, I think, is if we just draft successful. And I mean, even making, not everybody's going to make perfect picks or anything like that, but best case scenario, if we get 1 or 2 in each draft, I mean, if there ain't no reason why we couldn't make another run after having a couple of successful drafts.
That's what they're hoping for.
Well,
That's what every team hopes for, I think.
yeah, and it's not that because teams don't keep great defenses. They usually don't. You'll have a run for a while, and then your defense will drop off. The thing that keeps teams consistent is outstanding quarterback play. As far as just wins, yeah, that's the place. You can have a terrible defense, and you can have a high scoring offense and still win a lot of games. Now you're probably not going to win championships, but you're going to be competitive. You're going to be good until you can fix that problem. I mean, when you look at teams that go over years and they don't win championships for a long time, and you notice that usually the weak link is the defense. And once they fix the defense some, they get back to that championship type level play where they're competing for championships again.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I'm looking forward to this year, though. A healthy 2021, kind of like what E-Man said in the beginning of the show about one of our greatest obstacle in training camp that he foresees is staying healthy, and hopefully that is the case. We heard about Cam Akers with the Rams already losing their top prospect that honestly, I thought this was going to be the year that he would have had a breakout year with his Rams, and now the young kid. And I feel bad for the kid. I don't like the Rams, but I feel bad for the kid individually that he's going to have to wait another year to try to. And then coming back from that type of injury, sometimes mentally, it's a hurdle within itself to get over when he does his cuts and so forth. But I hope we don't run into none of that, man, because we definitely have a great stable of running backs. Our running backs are coming. Debo looks good. Ayuk looks good. So, man, I just hope for. I understand that there's injuries, here and there, but I'm talking about major, season-ending type of injuries. I want to stay away from. What are your thoughts on Bosa as he comes back? Do you think they'll ease him in? Do you think they'll start giving him a lot of snaps? How many snaps do you think he'll get week one, in your guys' opinion?
I don't know. They're gonna have to go on what he feels. They gotta look at his health and how he's feeling physically before they make a decision on how many snaps they're going to play him, whether he's going to be on a snap count or not. I mean, basically, I think that he's been out essentially a year. He says, according to him, that he feels fine. He feels like he'll be ready to go. What is that?
My kid
Uh,
laughing.
okay. Anyway, he says he feels fine. And the thing about it is we're just going to have to touch and go, Bottom line is we have a bunch of, pieces and part players that, are not great. They're decent. And the best thing they can do is try to keep his snap count to where he's fresh the whole game. That's what I want them to do throughout. Don't overuse him, but use him in a regular rotation, hopefully.
Well, for Jared Goff's sake, I'm hoping he's probably hoping that we are going to use him sparingly.
Jared Goff wasn't successful whether he was on the field or not. So, what is it?
But no, I think it'll be 9 months removed from 9 or 10 months removed from injuries. So I think it'll be fine. I think I'd say he'd probably play 60 to 70%.
That's about the norm anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
70.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right. Hopefully they'll bring it, and you're right. Based on how he feels, nobody knows their own bodies, but the individual himself. So, although sometimes you do have to worry about a competitor, though sometimes they say they're doing good and they're not. And hopefully that Bosa is smart enough to realize, all right, I shouldn't be pushing myself. And that's where the coaches have to play close attention to. Is okay? Is this guy really feeling good, or does he just want playing time? Because when you're young and you're full of energy and you feel, you want to be a competitor, sometimes you can hurt yourself. So they have to protect him from himself, so to speak. But hopefully he'll do okay. But yeah, so real quick before I forget, and I shouldn't have forgotten this, I just want to send prayers and condolences to the Greg Knapp's family. The offensive coordinator when Steve Young was here, and Jeff Garcia. Now he was with the Jets as a passing coordinator, I believe. If you guys haven't heard, he passed away.
Greg Nick's been all over the league.
Yeah, he passed. He passed away yesterday, I believe, from an injury that he sustained while riding his bike on last Saturday. I guess he was struck by a car and
He got hit by a car. Yeah, I did hear.
it's just, and he was in your area too, I believe, not too far from where you're at.
Really?
Did you run him over, Nate? No, I'm just.
No, I don't think it was Nate.
He wasn't from Boston. I'm not.
We're gonna skip
that's
that
unfortunate,
part,
man.
It's such a time sensitive. This guy has to mention Boston, not the Eagle.
Hey,
I mean,
who brought up?
I expected him more. I expected him more in New York, but the fact that it happened in Cali is something else. I'm not really familiar with.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I'm saying like New York is like, as far as the traffic goes, it's like bumper to bumper kind of traffic, and you got a lot of people riding bikes.
What does that got to do with hitting people on the bike?
Yeah, we got that here. That bumper to bumper stuff, that's here too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe when you're
so I'm not.
You're out on the ranch in the
No,
fields.
I got potholes and stuff like that. So people are dodging potholes to hit people.
California, believe me, they're not the same speed as New York, obviously, but California, especially down south it's a much faster pace than it is down north, in my opinion. I think it's down north it's a little bit more calmer than down south of California.
Definitely.
Yeah. So all the hippies and
Oh, y'all got those too?
are over here in northern.
Yeah. Northern California, you do, yeah.
Yeah, and in the Southern California, all the, rich people and all the tourists, and you get some of that in San Francisco, but not as much as you do in LA.
No.
But yeah, so California, it's just bad overall that what happened to him. I told my wife, see, exercise does kill you.
Too soon.
Too soon? Sorry.
Yeah,
Too soon.
Definitely. You never. The thing is, you don't know. Today could be the last day. Tomorrow, you never know when it's your time. That's the bottom line.
At the end of the day, bro, you don't know. You can, I can be talking to you right now and have a heart attack, and it'll just be you two.
You never know. I mean, you never know when it's your time.
I shouldn't mess around with it like that, but yeah.
No.
But you don't know. That's why you got to take every day as if it was your last day, and you can't worry too much about tomorrow, man. Doesn't mean you don't plan. Doesn't mean you don't have the goals.
Know about that. You should live for today and plan for tomorrow.
Live for today and plan for tomorrow.
Yes.
Plan is the key word, though.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you fulfill it, we'll have to wait and see, man. But yeah, it's sad though. It's and kind of get away from that a little bit. I don't know if you guys have been hearing this, the whole COVID vaccination type of thing that's going on in the NFL.
Yes.
What's the name is going to retire from the Arizona Cardinals? The receiver.
Is he?
Yes, he said he's going to retire because he will not take the COVID. One of the coaches for the Patriots is retiring, or because of
DeAndre Hopkins is retiring.
Yeah, there you go. I can't say his name, so I try.
My God, that's beautiful.
Well,
I love it.
well,
I'm not mad. I'm going to celebrate his retirement.
yeah.
I
Well, it
seen where a
hasn't
coach
happened.
got.
He's
Hey,
anticipating
he's
it.
a rich man. He
I seen
can.
where a coach was fired for not doing the vaccination.
Yeah, they're starting. It's starting to come out that that first they say anybody can whatever, but they're really pushing it behind the scenes, and now you're starting to
Oh
see it
no, it's
spilled
not
over.
behind the scenes. The darn players are telling on him. What's our defensive back that left and went to Seattle last year?
DJ Reed.
Reed? Yeah, he said that he did it because he didn't want to hurt the team, but he really didn't want to take the vaccination.
Oh, ouch!
So
Yeah,
yeah, so he was kind of saying that he felt
he fought forced to do it.
yeah, he felt forced.
Pressured.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
not
there's a
good.
few others that have came up and said that. I just remembered him off the top of my head. But
No, I didn't hear that, but see
yeah,
that's a perfect example. He didn't want it. He didn't want to take it, and whatever your reasons are, it doesn't have to be religious or just if you don't want to do, you don't want to do it. You shouldn't have to feel pressure to do so. Him being young as he is, not being a starter or a famous name out there, he was he wants to keep his job. So I'm pretty sure he felt pressure to do so, and you never should do that, no matter who you are. So that's sad, bro.
like myself.
They say one
No,
thing, they do something different.
I contacted it twice. I had no symptoms either time.
Yeah.
Do I really want to?
But not only that, but people that get the vaccine have said that they even, after receiving the vaccine, they have got COVID. So
Sure, but
it's not like
it's not about whether you get it or not, because they didn't say that you were. What they're saying is that their claim is that you're not as likely to have
to spread it.
get seriously ill. That's
Oh,
what they're not saying. You won't get it. They're just saying that you won't get seriously ill.
if you have the vaccine.
That's the story. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how valid that is. I'm no expert. I'm not pretending to be. I'm not telling people whether they should or should not get it.
Yeah.
I think that you should get
Follow your own-
informed as well as you can. There's a lot of information out there, but some of it's sketchy. Some of it's really good. You got to make that choice for yourself at the end of the day.
Something you said that kind of just rang with me. You have to, whether decision you make it to, whether you get it or you don't, educate yourself. Don't hear what look into it, educate yourself, so that when you make the decision, whether you get it or you don't, you can live with yourself on that decision based on your self education. But if you don't educate yourself and you start listening to a bunch of other people, even family members, what they think in their perspective, you might not realize that you can get caught up in that and then take it or not take it based on what they feel. So what you said, Nate, it's so true. Educate yourself just for your own knowledge, just for your own peace of mind. Okay, you know what? I'm not taking it because for what I read, I don't believe in it. Or I'm taking it because I think it is helpful. So I don't know, with you, Eric, with your type of work, do you have to take the vaccine?
No, we're not required to. It's pretty much, I mean, honestly, what my thoughts were with the with COVID period is, I think that, in my case and Nate's case, as far as contracting it once or twice, I think honestly our bodies have already built up antibodies from fighting off the infection. So
The virus.
yeah, so if we got it again, we're probably less likely to experience severe symptoms or any
That's a good point.
So it's not really beneficial for us. But here's the thing: is the concern is not with us. I mean, yeah, I had symptoms, but it's the spread. I mean, that's where the issue in itself lies. Is okay, we don't have symptoms, and we come in contact with somebody in that period, because for 6 days I didn't feel nothing. after I had gotten contact, and then it's like somebody hit me with a shovel or a brick, and from then on, it was just terrible. Like I'd much rather have the flu than deal with that crap again.
Okay. And let me piggyback on the back of that. Um, this is the thing that on my job, they test us every week. I get weekly tested. Now, I try to think about all these people out in society. If they had the same uh, symptoms or lack thereof that I have, how would you ever know you had it? Only reason I knew is because I get tested weekly.
Very good point.
Yeah, there's plenty of people probably running around out here in society that could spread it easily
And not even know it.
because they don't even know they have it. Like, it's funny. I was laughing. My parents, they both went and got vaccinated, but they were telling me, "Oh, well, I never had it." I'm like, how do you know? I mean, you
Yeah.
say that just with this comment. How many times were you tested? Well, none. I was like, so then what you're saying is you don't know, because I had it twice.
Well, they were
And
referencing because they never went through those symptoms. They
I was
assumed
like,
they didn't
well,
have it.
neither did I. I had it twice, and I
No,
never
no, I
did
know.
either.
But you knew
Yeah,
because your test said you had it. Otherwise, you wouldn't
Mhm.
even known it yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people that are asymptomatic that are out there walking around spreading this. So I'm not saying that a vaccine is going to help that, because if you're
It's
less
not.
likely to have severe symptoms, then you still wouldn't know, right? So
Nope.
are we still spreading it? Probably, but I don't know what you do about that. I don't have the answers. You know, all I know is I read this and I did this information, and this was about the flu. And the only reason I'm going to mention this is because it is a virus and it spreads the same way. There's no difference there. Now, there's a whole lot of differences between the COVID virus and how it affects you and how it attacks you as opposed to the flu. But as far as the spread of it, it is exactly the same. When there is a flu season, 80% of the world, not just the country or your city, the world's people contact that flu virus. Now, 87% of 8+ billion people, that's a whole lot of people contacting that virus. And, I could sit here and tell you, man, I don't get the flu very often. I mean,
Same
I can
here.
go
Yeah.
10, 12 years without getting the flu. Chances are I'm getting it every flu season and don't know it, and spreading it to other people so that those 87% of the world population can get it.
Yeah. We
I'm
got to do
sure
our
that,
part, right?
yeah, everybody plays the part.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, when you've got COVID running around here and people are just as oblivious about it as they are the flu, we're spreading it to, it's funny, same number Beto's wearing, 87%. Yeah. I'm sure that 80% of the world's population is getting that as well. And
Just
the
don't know
vast
it.
majority of them have no idea.
Yeah. It's funny how you said with your parents, how your parents said, we never got it. And they could be correct, but to be certain, unless you're tested, and if you've never been tested prior to it, you don't know. You
Quite
could have
frankly,
had it.
most likely they did. They were around me. They were around my wife who had it once. More than likely they did.
Yeah, and it's like I was talking to a friend, a female friend of mine. She's like, my husband had COVID, but me and my kids didn't have it, and I'm like, oh, so the test results stated that you didn't have it. He goes, no, we didn't get tested. So I'm like, well, how do you know you didn't have it? Well, because we didn't. We saw how he felt. I go, well, just because he unfortunately feels the symptoms doesn't mean you guys are not going to feel it or feel it if you guys have it. No, but we don't have it. Did you get tested? No. I said, okay. So I came to a point where it wasn't going anywhere. So I just kind of changed the conversation. But
Let it go.
yeah, let it go. But it's like, no, they didn't have it. But it wasn't because they got tested. It's just because they didn't show the symptoms.
And here's another one. My mom, this is how good her immune system is on this. The last time my mom had any flu symptoms, I was 7 years old.
Wow. Good for her.
I'm 50. Now, if you're going to tell me that something that spreads to 87% of the people in the world, and she hasn't had it for over 43 years, no one's that lucky. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just
And
because
if
your
she
immune
is, I would like to
handles
know
it
what the
well,
formula is.
no one's that lucky.
Yeah, no, I hear you. She had it quite a few times, but
Mhm. Because it
just
was so interesting that when my dad got into his 60s, that my mom wouldn't get the flu, but he got it every season. She's probably bringing it to him.
his
You
immune
know?
system got a little bit less, and she's still giving the same. So yeah.
Yeah. And she was still, at the time, she wasn't retired. So she's going out there. She's a school teacher. So she's going around
Oh,
all
the
these little
kids.
kids,
Yeah.
they're putzing it. So she brings it home. He gets it. And she doesn't.
She was just the carrier. Yeah. Yeah. And you. Unfortunately for your dad, he was just the reception of catching it. But you're right. Many people carry it, and I don't know if we'll ever figure this out, bro. I don't know if the government will ever figure this crap out with the flu. Excuse me, with the corona. But I am glad that players are standing up, and I hope more players stand up. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're the one that mentioned this. So I think you mentioned this in the back of the chat, where if a team, something about if they have COVID, they can get a loss. They can
Oh, yeah. If
explain
they're
that.
not able to, like, let's say that it doesn't fit the timetable where they can fit it in the schedule to reschedule it. Like, let's say that, you know, the day before the game, uh, you know, they've got these guys that test positive, and there's like, I don't know, 6 of them, and they've been around the team. And so they can't separate them. And so we got to push that game back, right? Well, you got to push the game back, what, 10 days? Yeah, they're going to forfeit that game. They're not going to
Wow.
do. Yeah, you're gonna get a loss for that one. You're gonna forfeit.
That's going to
Yep.
be interesting within itself, and how it shapes up a lot of playoff teams.
Well,
Because you can be a good team and lose.
yeah.
Because COVID doesn't care if you have a good record or not.
Mm-mm.
Unless you're the Patriots, then COVID should be on them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. 0-17. All COVID forfeits.
And Brady, even though he's with Tampa, just because he has that extension, he should get it too, right?
Yeah. Boston.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page there. But but that is interesting that a good team can get players that are positive, and they have to forfeit a game that it could be crunch time towards the end of the season, whether you make the playoffs or not. Can you imagine?
Rotten. Ah,
I think the
I
league
don't
did
really
a
want
pretty
to
good
see
job
that.
as far as rescheduling and stuff like that. So I think it'd be a really rare scenario to where a team would actually forfeit.
He said ain't doing all that crap this year. They said it's not happening. He said they're
Yeah, they had
shutting
to
it
do that
down,
last year
getting it
because it
done.
was
Oh,
new.
so they're not going to be moving. So they're not going to be moving anything around.
They're not going to go
They're
out of
just
their
going to
Not
be
like
like,
way
oh,
that.
you scoop.
to move things back. If they can fit it
Now let
in,
me
they
ask
probably
you
will,
this
right?
though: like how they did in IR and stuff like that, are they continuing that this year? Do you know?
Yes. Yeah. That's something that they talked about, that they said they're going to keep around. The 4-week IR looks like it's here to stay. Yeah, I don't think it's going away.
Oh, that's good
Hmm.
then. But man, it's gonna this year. If that's the case, this season's gonna be interesting. I think that's why a lot of teams are trying to push the whole vaccine issue, because they don't want to lose
Oh,
games because of it.
and I don't know that matters, because, see, here's the thing. Once again, it doesn't stop you from getting it. You've got this virus that changes strands, and now you got this D variant that's out there, and the vaccine does not prevent you from getting the D variant, at least from all the indications that, once again, I'm no expert. I try to do as much of my homework as I can, but, I'm sure there's plenty of people that know a hell of a lot more about it than I do. Uh, but it doesn't stop people from getting it. A lot of people are contacting this D variant and getting positive tests. And here, that's all that matters. is that you get it and it's a positive test. Now you're in, COVID protocols, and if you were exposed to this guy, and this guy on the road because this one's your roommate and these are your buddies that you were hanging out with having lunch. Now all of a sudden you got 6 guys on quarantine. Well, you can still play that game if they determine that everybody else is clear. But if they got like 20 guys or 25 guys that are, have to be quarantined, you can forget that game. That's a darn L.
Just don't be like the Broncos and have all 3 of your quarterbacks near each other. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, they had a backup wide receiver playing quarterback.
Quarterback.
That was terrible.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah. That was terrible. Yeah.
they tried to get one of the coaches. They tried to see if one of the coaches could play quarterback for that week.
Yeah,
Believe it or not.
I don't remember anything like that.
I remember reading something like that. Yeah. I don't think that would have happened, but there were.
Coach play quarterback, man. Players play, coaches don't play. Come on, stop it.
Well, it depends. What I mean, look at Robert Saleh. He looks like he can play.
You don't think Kyle Shanahan would be a good quarterback versus having a backup
Yeah.
on a practice squad?
You know what? To your point, real quick, Eric, who would you rather have, Cole Shanahan or Nick Mullins last year?
Doesn't matter. It's a coach.
We're still going to lose.
It's not the NBA.
I know. He's not gonna bite into it, Eric. Let's just let it go.
Do not play.
He's not seeing what we're seeing. It's
okay. I see what you're talking about. It's just nonsense. So,
to answer your question, though, I'm very glad that both of our backups are gone.
Yeah,
it just took us getting our ass kicked.
Well, I don't have to spend, all season trashing the backups, because I know I started straight up. I think it was the Jets game was when Garoppolo got hurt initially. And so I was all over the Nick Mullins thing before he even got to play the Giants, as I recall. And I said, he's trash. And, even though the game went well and people were hooting and hollering, I'm like, he's still trash.
Well, when they beat the Giants, look at the defense he was facing. Bad secondary with the Giants. Yeah. So was it really that he was good, or was this Giants defense just that bad? Well, we found out with Philly, didn't we?
You know what? And that Giants defense grew up over the year. They were actually pretty good when the year ended.
The end of the yeah. I don't think that Mullins would have had the same success at the end of the year.
The secondary is not the issue for Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins, anything that resembles pressure, there's going to be some mess.
And that he's famous for that look in his eyes, like that, truth saying the deer in the headlights.
Oh yeah,
you see that expression on his face every time. It's man, Nick Mullins.
Yeah. Well, what was nice about it was, once people said, "Oh yeah, Nick Mullins," I'm like, yeah, wait till he plays Philly. I was like, you want to see just something that'll scare you? Yeah, wait till that.
And people were actually wanting him to take over for Jimmy, saying he was better than Jimmy. I'm like,
not in this lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, once we see Trey play, we can probably get rid of Jimmy, but not for Mullins. That's definitely for damn sure.
Let's hope so.
That's why Jimmy's still here and Mullins isn't. And Jimmy has a higher contract, right? But look who's still at the roster.
Well, that's why they do what they do. I mean, we're not evaluating these guys. I mean, you can just look at them. I mean, I don't know where anybody came up with that. You just look at them play. You can see there's things that just clearly are missing with that backup. Yeah. So, yeah. And I didn't mean for this to go on a Nick Mullins tangent because that's something I really don't want to talk about.
Yeah. I think we gave him a little bit too much fame for that he's worth in our show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So it's so let me ask you guys, And we're not going to touch this quarterback, whether who's going to start. We're not going to touch that. But in the running game, the combination of I want to ask you guys who's going to get more snaps in your guys' opinion. This is just an opinion based, but Sermon or Raheem Mostert.
Sermon.
Okay.
I think it's gonna start geared towards Mostert, but I think gradually over time, I think it'll be. I think Sermon will take a bulk of those carries, like early season. That's just.
And you know why I say Sermon? Because please name me a time where Raheem Mostert was healthy for an entire season in a 49ers.
Not with the Niners.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time believing he's going to do that.
Yeah, that's a very good assessment. Yeah, he hasn't been healthy. He's been in and out. So if that is the case. Now, I heard Matt Miyoko say in one of his podcasts with Laura Britt, and he got out of flag for this, but he never said, and people got to stop taking things out of content. He never said that the Niners are going to trade Raheem Mostert. He said there might be the possibility that we might trade him. I don't know if you watch that podcast or not.
It doesn't even matter. People always take stuff out of context. The whole weren't we talking about the Kyle Shanahan podcast that he did with
Schrager
Sean McVay?
Sean McVay, yeah.
And there was stuff taking stuff that McVay said out of context, stuff that Shanahan said out of context.
Yeah, they were looking at secret codes in between the conversation, right? All the secret codes about Lance.
Yeah, like oh, we missed out on Stafford because Shanahan decided to go on vacation. No, that ain't.
Well, not only too much of that. They were talking more about how Kyle Shanahan is completely done with Jimmy because he was looking at other quarterbacks to bring in, like in Matthew Stafford. Those are the little. Yeah. So people are saying, "Oh, he's done," or how
done with it. He wouldn't be on the roster right now, making $25+ million.
Yeah, and Matthew would have been. Yeah, I think the only reason why he's still on the roster is because we got a rookie, and he's untested rookie. But if you would have brought,
he's untested because all rookies are untested. Right. They don't
not just that, but
start right now. That's it. I don't know what people don't understand about that. If they wanted him to start
then
right
Jimmy
now,
Jimmy would still be gone, right?
They got traded, and he'd have been gone. Yeah, he would have been traded. Before the probably before the damn draft was over.
But this is the thing too. An argument to that is this is hearsay and thearsay, but people said that nobody wants to trade for Jimmy because of coming off an injury, and plus taking over that big salary of his, and the Niners don't want to get rid of him because he's still an asset. So it wasn't much that they didn't want to trade him. They just couldn't find a trade partner. And they don't want to cut him because you still get asset.
Actually, is that really true that they couldn't find a trade partner?
Who would trade for him?
Because, we were paying attention. There were two teams that were very interested before the whole draft process even took place.
Yeah, Patriots.
The Patriots and the Bears were very interested in him. But, it's not like that's an option now. They both got young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So
sucks for
that's
Jimmy.
not even an issue. But
they had the opportunity.
That was an option
to get Jimmy prior to the draft, and they could have used that draft capital for somewhere else. They just didn't want to take a chance with Jimmy. Not Jimmy itself, but the contract that he comes with.
No,
one
that
of the other
wasn't
teams
the
I took into consideration.
They weren't tripping on the contract. They were fine with doing whatever they were going to do. The problem was the Niners weren't that willing to come off of him. They didn't wow them with the trade. They were willing to come off of something, but it just wasn't enough for them to say, okay, we're going to cut this guy loose because they're offering us this great deal. I mean, the deal was not that great, obviously.
So to my point,
But
that's probably
He
why they
give us
haven't
a
cut
number
him
one.
either, because they found value in him. They don't want to cut him either, and maybe that's why they hold on. Even if they start Trey,
yeah, like you can sit the quarterback that you don't want to play. Yeah, that you don't want to play right now. That you want him to, especially, you want him to get some of his mechanics straightened out,
correct.
which you don't do that when you're playing. Uh, you know, maybe digest some of this complex playbook. Maybe that's some of it. That's not as big an issue as fixing mechanics. But that's why you sit guys. That's why when you spend a ton of draft capital on guys and keep the starter that was there around, it's so that you can fix what you want to fix with him before you move on. And I don't really
And
see that as a part of a year process. It is you're going to use that full year if you can get productivity out of this $25 million guy. You didn't bring him there. You didn't keep him for a half a season. That's not what it was for. Yeah, injuries and stuff sometimes derail the plan that you have, but that's not what he's there for. If he gets out there and plays well, he's playing the whole season, you know?
Okay, interesting. Your thoughts, Eric? I know you wanted to say something.
it's no. I was just gonna say that. I mean, going in, there wasn't another quarter. I mean, outside of the upgrade possibilities before we got Lance, there wasn't. There was no reason to move on from Jimmy. So the fact that he's still there shows. I mean, he knows our system efficiently, and he knows how to win as a quarterback. He's very successful as a quarterback. So when he is healthy, so why go out and I mean, if you don't get a pick that you obviously like, why not stick with Jimmy? I mean, he's given you the best chance to win. He's shown that he can take over games when he's been needed to. So I mean, yes, I like having Lance as a backup to learn behind Jimmy. And in the case that Jimmy does go down, yeah, it may force him to come on the field, but he's not forced to come on the field this season. He's put in a position where he can truly learn and not have to improvise in a system where he's not needed right now.
And he is in the best position of any of those first round quarterbacks. None of them have the position that he is in. Not even
No,
close.
no, all of them are going to be forced to take over their teams.
Yeah, you would say that the closest team to that would be the Bears, but because
Really.
hold on now, because of the coaching staff being on the hot seat, I think they're going to be pressured to put in uh, um, Justin a little bit sooner than later, especially if he's playing better than Don whatever his name is. But I think that's the closest out of
Here's
all
the
of them.
thing with that Andy
I just
Dalton. I mean, yeah, I don't think they're on the hot seat more or less, but I do
oh,
think that,
They're not. They would have been fired if it wasn't for this draft.
yeah, but
Nagy, come on,
I think they bought themselves a couple of years with this
with this
Fields pick.
draft, yeah.
yeah.
But I don't. He was actually Fields was actually the quarterback that I really saw being a week one starter because of the situation that they're in. I don't have hopes as Andy Dalton being their quarterback, but I do think that he was the best suited to be thrown out there and learn versus some of these other quarterbacks. Uh,
Um,
that was just my thoughts on.
um, Probably the best suited week one starter is going to be Trevor Lawrence. I don't see that being an issue over there, and I think Fields is going to have to wait his turn. I think his turn could come faster because I think Andy Dalton could easily become a problem.
Yeah.
Uh, he's just not very good. He's very up and down. Has been pretty much his whole career.
And he's
Um,
learning that offense too. So it's not like he's been there for 2 or 3 years that he has a little bit something underneath him, so he can definitely be pushed out. I think you're right. I think Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are the two that are going to be starting week one. Because who do the Jets have too? They don't have nobody.
That's the problem with both situations. It's like the guys that are there are
Not
like
good enough to start.
nowhere close. You'd be better off with the rookie from start. Just, I mean, much better off.
Yep.
And it's, I mean, there's situations where there's a better quarterback that sits behind a guy for a year, sometimes more, uh, just depending on the situation. And if the guy's better than you, I understand why you're sitting back there. But
Correct.
if not that, because they want to groom the guy, they want to get him right. And if the other dude in front of him can play pretty good football, they're going to leave him there. Case in point, the one I like to bring up because there's no way that this guy was better than him, but they put him out there. John Kitna started a year in front of Carson Palmer in Cincinnati. John Kitna played pretty good football that year. If you look back on it, he was pretty good. And the Bengals had a pretty good season with John Kitna. But was John Kitna anywhere close to Carson Palmer?
Oh,
Absolutely not.
not. Yep.
But they wanted him to sit and groom him for that year. And if you got productivity at the quarterback position and you're doing pretty good, why not?
Which makes sense. I mean, if Fitzpatrick was, let's say Fitz was the starting quarterback for the Jaguars or the Jets, you think any of those two quarterbacks will be starting right this year? Nope.
I don't know about Jacksonville, but definitely.
Yeah, Jacksonville's stupid, but the Jets.
I think if he was in New York, and here's the thing you also got to look at with these rookie quarterbacks. When you look at Trevor Lawrence, is Trevor Lawrence, when you look at his mechanics, is that a guy you would really want to sit a year?
No, he's
Maybe
pretty
not.
damn good.
Maybe not. I don't know if that's a guy I would want to sit a year. Now, all of the rest of them outside of him, probably so. If I could get away with it, yes.
So imagine if Trevor Lawrence would have went to the Niners, Jimmy would have been gone one way or the other, regardless, huh?
I feel like he would have.
Okay.
I mean, there was just no reason to keep him. I mean,
fair point.
I don't think that you just put him out there. He's, there's, what are you trying to gain by leaving him on there? I mean, I understand when you start looking at guys and breaking down mechanically, there's some things you want to fix with this guy. There's some things you want to do with this dude. And so you don't do it. But with Trevor Lawrence, what are you fixing?
Yeah, he's pretty. I know there's some things he can work on, but it's not to the point where, like you said, to your point, as evident as Trey Lance or Fields or Zach Wilson, or even the kid over there with the Patriots, Jones. You know what I mean? So you tend to go further with, and that's why the Jaguars took him. Now, how much are they going to damage this kid in Jacksonville? We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Because they're terrible over there, man.
There is one thing that I might cause to pause. I don't know if Jimmy would leave. If the Niners are just kind of under the impression that we just want depth at that position this year, and so they keep Jimmy and they start him because they want that high-level quarterback play, and they want two of them because they've had such a just rut of injuries. As a matter of fact, since 2014, we have missed the second most games to injury of any franchise in the NFL.
At the quarterback position, yeah.
No.
Just in general?
Period.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And because of that, and Washington being the worst, by the way, because of that, maybe they were like, you know what? Let's take this salary on for another year and let's keep two quarterbacks that we can win with. I mean, maybe that was their thought process even in this case. I don't know. But I think that Where Trey Lance needs the grooming, I don't believe that Lawrence does.
Yeah, yeah. And to your point with about the Niners is one of the weakest, obvious weakest room was the quarterback last year, and not so
Yeah.
much this year. And I think that Kyle Shanahan, to your point, he got tired of that. He knew that once Jimmy went down, it didn't matter. They were going to lose. They know they were not going to be the same offense. And with Trey, they have certain packages for him. If he has to go in there, they can work with him. So maybe you're right. Maybe they want to keep both of them because they want to make sure that quarterback room is strong, making a push for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because basically, if you, let's say that for argument's sake, Lawrence was the pick. Well, if you let Jimmy go, aren't you in the same position with Lawrence that you were with Jimmy?
Yep.
If he goes down,
Who else do you have? Exactly.
Quarterback play drops off a cliff. So maybe they wanted those two, even if it's just for this 1 year. So I don't know that they necessarily get rid of him. Now that I'm starting to play that in my mind and I think about it, maybe they would have kept him anyway. Not that I feel like Trevor needs it like the others, but sometimes you get yourself in a position and it's like, wealth of riches. Better to have him and not need him than need him and not have him.
Yep. and I think that's I think that was the issue when they went to Jed and they asked Jed, hey, if we draft a quarterback at 3, it's okay if we still keep Jimmy, and I think that was the mentality, is they just want to make sure that they have a strong quarterback room for a push, especially this year with the roster that we have for a Super Bowl chance, because they don't want, Jimmy goes down, everybody knows that's it.
And we'd have to have a lot of balls bounce our way, I feel like, to win a Super Bowl this year. I mean, we got the personnel, but I mean, it's got to stay really healthy and everything just has to fall right into place as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like our optimal, just me, just looking at things moving forward, if Trey turns out to be the guy, I think 23 and 24 are the years.
23, 24.
I'm hopeful, but yeah, those years really, I'm targeting. They can make a couple of things happen at other positions, and because you've got this quarterback that's really not making a lot of money, and you can kind of divert a little money to a couple of things and hope for the best. And after that, of course, if Trey turns out to be the guy, we're going to have to give him back up a Brinks truck to him. So we're going to have to get the reset.
Yeah, eventually. But that's still a long way to go. That's still a couple years from now. So let me ask you guys this as we come close to our show tonight. Great show, by the way. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very concerned about our secondary this year. As good as Verrett played, as good Verrett is still the guy always getting injured. And he had a great year. I love his mentality when he was asked about his injuries. He said, that's not me no more. I felt great, and he's positive. But I want to get your thoughts individually, both of you. If we lose Verrett to injury, are we screwed?
If we lose anybody in that secondary, we're probably screwed. Yeah. I'm trying not to think about it. But
no, I hear you.
But I think I heard you talking about this, and I feel far more confident putting Ambry Thomas out there than the solution that you.
Dante Johnson, yeah. Yes,
I'll take my chances with the Rook.
I know exactly where you were going. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare within itself, bro.
I'm gonna piggyback on that. I'm gonna say that I would much rather see either one of the rookies before I would see Webster or Johnson.
Webster's gone.
Man, they didn't. Okay, good. I was just about to say.
They got rid of him after the Miami game.
No. I was thinking. No. We got rid of. You're talking about Allen.
Oh, yeah. Allen. Oh,
Webster plays special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. My bad.
He had a hamstring injury.
Well, it's not encouraging if you're
He's good
bringing
on
him up
he's
in the
good on special
conversation with.
teams.
If you're bringing
Well,
him in the same conversation with Johnson, then he's not good either. So
yeah.
I wouldn't want him playing on defense. Special teams, he's fine. Yeah, throw him out there, let him tackle people.
that is a concern of mine. I mean, I don't think our pass rush is going to be anywhere near that it was in 2019 this year. Hopefully, it'll be better than 20, but I don't think it'll be where it's 19. And if somebody goes down in that secondary, you know,
It doesn't have to be. Honestly, it doesn't have to be.
it doesn't if we don't lose anybody in the secondary.
It's
I'm
far
worried
more
about.
if we need to be better offensively. If
You don't
you
think
want
that
to,
we're going to get better though offensively with that offensive line and that running game?
here's the thing. I believe that, but guess what? When we made a couple of little moves and then, we bring in Brandon Ayuk, we got a Debo in his second year. Everything stacked up last year for us to be a better offense in 2020 than in 2019. But what happened?
Injuries.
Yeah. So do I see it that way? I think that we even stacked the deck even more to where we should have a better offense this year than we did in 2019. And I hope so. But,
But at the
injuries.
end of the day, it all falls on injuries. If they can stay healthy, then we definitely have the players to elevate that offense from 2019 to now. Because we have a center. We have a great piece at center, which is Alex Mack, that he can take care of that. I think Aaron Banks is not going to lose his position to Daniel Brunskill in training camp. You don't draft somebody that high at number 2 to not start him. And I think he'll be fine there. I think Mike McGlinchey is. I think he's underrated personally. A lot of people don't like him, and that's their prerogative. But we know what we had when we drafted him. He's a great.
I
for
don't
the run.
They don't like him.
No,
I don't.
I think.
I mean, stop looking at highlights and look at the whole thing. The guy's actually pretty darn good.
Now he did get beat up by a couple of running back, not running backs, linebackers,
Defensive ends.
or defensive ends.
Yes,
He
but
was put on his ass.
come on. But what did he do? Okay, you were put on your ass. That's what you remember. 70 plays in a game. You remember the 2 plays.
Oh no, that's not the only thing I remember, but it did happen.
I mean, but that's what people look at.
Oh, they emphasize on that. Yeah,
That's not indicative of what he does for a full game.
Yeah.
Just like I love to rip Trent Brown. Because, he's going to block. He's a 400-pound offensive lineman that when he run blocks, he takes 2 or 3 steps forward and falls on the ground.
You would think.
Yeah.
That he
I'm
can-
like, you hit nobody. Just lay on somebody, something.
Yeah, you would think as big as you are, just fall in front of somebody and you do damage, but nothing, zero.
And you had people actually fixing their mouth to say, I would rather have Trent Brown than Mike McGlinchey.
Now that is just complete ignorance. Yeah.
Well, I'm like, if you're that crazy, but more power to you, but there's just really no comparison between.
Those are people that don't watch the all 22 film, bro, or the whole game. You don't even have to watch the all 22, just the game itself. Break
Really
it down. They don't. Like you said, they look at highlights. They look at because highlights is always going to bring out the worst of a player in that game, but they're not going to show the rest of the game. They're just going to say, look what he did wrong.
Well, offensive linemen don't really get praised for what they do right.
They just get screwed when they do wrong. Yeah.
It's like, don't mess up. And so, like I said, you can have 70 plays of darn near brilliance as an offensive lineman. They mess up 2 times and they're on the highlight reel, you're garbage.
Yeah, I always tell people, did you hear anything about Trent Williams in this game? They're like, no, we heard nothing. He had a good game. They're like, what do you mean he had a good game? We didn't hear. I go, because you didn't hear nothing about him. He had a good game. Like you said, when you hear something about a lineman, it's because it's probably pulling out something they did wrong.
Unless he just does if he just totally just mauls the crap out of somebody, you might hear his name for something positive. But That's not the usual. And if you maul somebody, you do it once, maybe twice in a game max. You know,
I was gonna
it's
say
not like
the other position that catches a lot of drift on that is a defensive back. Like they could play good for an entire game and give up.
Oh, they get burned on one play.
They mess up one play and it's they're terrible.
Perfect
defensive
example,
back.
Richard Sherman. He did pretty good. Yeah, he was, a little bit less than 2019, but he gave up a bad play here and there, or even on the Super Bowl. Richard Sherman has to retire.
oh, you're talking about 2019. Don't talk about 2020, please.
2020.
Yeah,
Well,
no old man Rich.
he was worse in 2020. I said that, but
He wasn't healthy.
Or at the end of that year, Richard Sherman was getting used.
well, he's trying to get
And
into the house, but nobody would
there-
open the door.
He was out there trying to cover green grass, and he wasn't. I mean, they just had
Somebody finally caught it about an hour later.
But the thing is, I didn't think it was funny. I heard it.
No, but you never think nothing's funny, bro. I'm trying
I
to
was
get
looking
him.
at that
I'm trying to get him to laugh, not
Tampa
you,
Bay
bro.
game. That Tampa Bay game where he intercepted the grass and took it back. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about in 2020, where a lot of times they had him just standing out in an area, especially late in the year. He couldn't stick with anybody. I mean, he would be covering a guy and he started backpedaling before the guy even got moving good. I mean, a lot of times where Richard Sherman just was not covering anything but grass. And there were other times they put him out there and he was like just supposed to just go find something. They didn't have him responsible for covering anybody. And you would see him just go to the play and, his instincts would take him to where he was in and around the tackle. Maybe he made it. Maybe he was just close to making it. And that's his instincts. And he really, he's really sharp there. He always has been. But as far as his covering, into last year, it was like,
prior to this whole incident,
I hope this injury,
yeah,
I hope this injury still acted up, because if so, it was like,
well, prior to this incident that happened with him, and that's his personal life, I still thought that we were not going to bring him back anyway. This year, I know a lot of Niner fans were hoping to bring Richard Sherman back, but I'm like, why? I understand we don't have depth at the corner position, but I still want to see Mosley. I'd rather see Mosley out there than Richard, in my opinion. Maybe you guys think different.
Like I said, what I last saw of Richard Sherman, I don't want to see anymore. I mean, can he still play? That's what I'm questioning right now. From what I saw, no. But
yeah, he's done. Stick a fork in him.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Richard Sherman, wish him the best. Yeah, I didn't expect him. I didn't think he would be back anyway. I know a lot of Niner fans wanted him, and they're like, "Well, veteran presence." Well, we already have coaches that coach the D-back. We need players on the field, make plays, not coaching. We already have our coaches for that. So
we don't need any cheerleaders.
What? That's what I do best.
You already got Beto.
Yeah. And I'm proud of it, damn it. Give me an N. Give me a W. Anyway. All right, guys. We've been a little bit over an hour. It's been great. Our first pre-recorded podcast in high-def 4K clarity for the first time. So hope you guys enjoy this podcast. We had fun. I had fun making it. I'm pretty sure these guys did too. Once again, thank you to my co-criminals over here, Mr. Boston Hater himself, and E-Man with that little chubby smile of his. Appreciate you, man. Especially E-Man working a hard day today. Still able to find time to spend it with us. I appreciate you. And that was compliment, not sarcasm, bro. So I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh, yeah, Nate was off today.
Yeah, Nate was off. Yeah. I worked all day.
Well, he's busy. He's always busy, even when he's not. So
man,
I'm pulling a double.
I'm off than when I'm at work.
I forgot. I was like, wait a minute, he's not off. He's got something to do.
You're never off when you're off, bro. You know that when you work, and you have your family. Sometimes I always said this before. I know that I'm retired, I don't, but when I worked, I sometimes I had to do so many things that I was behind in the house, or stuff that I had to do that I found myself doing more on my days off than I did at work. So it is what it is. You got to take up, because you're at work 40 hours, if not more, depending on your job, out of the week. So when you have those 2 days, at least one of those 2 days, you want to take advantage in doing something at home or running errands, so that you can enjoy the second day. That's if they don't call you to come in either and just screw it up.
That part.
Yeah, yeah. So, but hey, it is what it is. But gentlemen, it was an honor, pleasure, great live, great podcast. Looking forward on posting this up. This should be up. So thank you for being part of the show tonight. The viewers, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Remember, hit like and comment on this channel. Let all your family and friends know about the N.W.A podcast. Any last words you guys want to say? I'll start with you first, Nate.
Oh, like I said, first recorded show. I hope you guys like it this way. It's going to have to be this way for a little while. We're having some internet connectivity issues, and I hope you like it, and we'll try to get it back to live as soon as we can.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
We'll strive to do the best that we can to try to make that possible. But for now, I think you guys will enjoy this, just for the fact that maybe you guys are not charming in, but you guys don't have to worry about anybody sounding like a robot or breaking up. So from that standpoint, it should be positive. And also, if you have any questions you might want to ask for our next broadcast, make sure to send us an email at NWA podcast@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to read those emails. I'll make sure Nate reads them, and we'll respond to your emails on our next podcast. All right, Eman, anything you want to say before we go, brother?
No, man. Just it's a good show. Hope everybody gets a chance to check it out and like, share, subscribe, and be tuned in for more, because it's coming.
All right, guys. Peace.